And welcome back to another TFT masterclass. Today we'll be talking about the 3 comps that you need to know on this patch in order to climb. Before we even get into it, I am creating a GoFundMe for the TFT Macau Open. If you want to support, that'd be great. Links will be in the description and the pinned comment. Recently, some of the TFT classes in TG have been cut. As you notice, we've been only doing 1 class per week now, so any support will help in order for this competition. So let's get straight into the 3 comps on 14.19. There are going to be 2 standard comps and then 1 reroll composition. So Arcana Varus has been taking over the meta right now. Same with Karma Warriors Flex. So we'll definitely be talking about these 2. And then we'll finish off with Jinx Wukong Hunter. There has been a bug fix, a couple changes, so this comp is now back in the meta. Starting off with Arcana Varus. This is going to be a fast 8 composition, so you want to be going 8 on 4-2. Sometimes if you're super rich, you could go on 4-1 as well. And this is a physical damage burst comp. So you really want to be killing as many units as possible on your initial first cast, rather than letting the fight stall out and eventually losing to stall comps such as like Callista. This is best with the Blaster +1. If you get this, then you will definitely be playing 6 Blaster. With this +1 makes it quite easy, and this composition requires a lot of Infinity Edges and Sunders since we are doing physical damage. Our main carry is going to be Varus, and then our main tank / frontline is going to be Tahm Kench, playing around these 2 4-cost units. So let's get into what the 2 boards look like. There are 2 essential versions here, one with a Blaster +1 and one without a Blaster +1. We'll go without the Blaster +1. So this is what your level 8 board is generally going to look like. As mentioned on the previous slide, you want to be leveling to 8 on 4-2 and then rolling down for one of these 2 boards, depending on whether or not you have the emblem. So this initial board here, Rakan, Tahm Kench, Hecarim, Shen, Rumble, Varus, Bard, Ahri. This pairing of 8 units allows you to get 8 traits. And because we have 8 traits active, then we want to be putting the Arcana variance signifier onto the Tahm Kench. We will have 3 here, and we will be able to get 600 HP per unit on the entire board. So that means 4800 HP, since the more traits you activate, the more HP you will get from the Arcana on the Tahm Kench. We have 8 active, and we have 8 units, and we have 3 Arcana in. So that's why this board is so good right now. It's just an insane amount of HP for your entire board. For tank items, you want to be putting your pure tank items on your Rakan. So these are like your Gargoyles, Warmogs, putting more of your utility on the Tahm Kench. So this is like mana items like Vow, and also your Even Shroud, and then also putting that signifier on the Tahm Kench rather than the Hecarim in this version. As mentioned, your main damage dealer is going to be Varus. So Varus best in slot is going to be 2 Infinity Edges. The reason why you want to do this is because with the recent changes, Varus scales extremely well AD. Also, he is an attack caster, which means that the brunt of his damage comes from his actual cast rather than his auto attacks, which is why we want to put items such as like Infinity Edge, which allows his ability to crit, rather than items such as Rage Blades, which will empower your actual auto attack DPS. The third item is rather flex. You can build a red buff, a Last Whisper, Hodge, and a third Infinity Edge, Shojin, or Deathblade are all fine as well. It just depends on what you have. If you are unable to make a red buff, you want to make sure you have either a Sunfire Cape in the front line or Umbrello if you have that extra rod to kill. So this is what the board is going to look like, and eventually you could just go 9 for another Arcana, which is going to be your Xerath, and that is how you will cap out. Super strong, 4800 HP team-wide on level 8 is insane, and most of the time you'll stack check boards and just be able to overpower them. One thing to note is you may lose to upgraded Callista Rakan boards, because the one problem with this board is it lacks damage compared to like the 4 Blaster or 6 Blaster variants, so you are unable to meet that damage threshold and kill that Rakan, and stall boards will outdamage you here. Let's say you do have a Blaster +1, then you definitely want to be playing 6 Blaster as soon as possible. If you get a Smolder, then you can either replace the Tristana or the Hui. I actually prefer replacing the Hui and keeping the Tristana, because Tristana at least has some sort of CC. Play that 6 Blaster, and in this case, you want to be signifying the Hecarim. Because we are not playing the Bard, because we're not playing the Ahri or the Rakan, we lose out on a lot of traits. We lose out on that Scholar, that Sugarcraft, that Preserver, which means we do not have a lot of traits active to make the Arcana variant of the Tahm Kench worth it. So in that case, we want to be putting the Arcana variant on, or the Arcana signifier onto the Hecarim, giving our our blasters extra attack damage, especially if they have items on like the Ezreal or like the Tristana, and also some extra DR for your frontline. Your main tank in this case, since we cannot play any preservers like a Rakan, we want to be putting on the Tahm Kench, and your blaster variants or your blaster emblem can just go on the Shen or the Hecarim. It doesn't really matter that much. But don't put on the Tahm Kench. This is how you're going to cap out your board with some augments. So Arcane Conduit is extremely good. In that case, you just want to be putting 2 items Tahm Kench, 2 items Xerath, and they'll be getting your third or their third item for free and also dealing more damage. Arcana Crest / Crown allows you to get hit 5 Arcana. Stand United is extremely good if you're playing around the Ari Bard and the TK signifier, just because we have so many traits active. Support Golem 1 and 2, Giant Eye Mighty allows us to scale with our HP more. Common Bandages, because of so much HP, healing for a percent of that max HP is extremely good. That's the same idea of why we'd want to choose Inspiring Epitaph, Martyr, and Exiles. And then last but not least, Marksman's Toolbox, the Fishbones, and the Sniper's Focus are extremely good on Varus. I would only take this if you have, let's say, like duoing both Ezreal and Varus, because this will complete 2 out of 3 of your Varus items. And if you're only playing around Varus plus 1 other blaster, if you get more backline AD items, you don't really have a great holder for them. As you can see here, just from this regular filter without a blaster emblem, if you are able to make it to this board, this isn't even accounting for items on Morgana or Xerath, only 3 items on your Varus and your Tahm Kench. You should average around the 2, have a really good chance of top 4 rate, and even a win rate as well. So super strong comp, definitely be playing this if you have an Infinity Edge drop or like a blaster plus 1. This comp is extremely good. So moving on now onto Karma. So now we have more of a mixed damage sustained composition rather than a physical damage burst comp. This is still going to be playing around level 8, so this will be either 4-1 or 4-2 that you want to be leveling depending on how rich and how contested you are. And the one thing you need is definitely need anti-heal, because this is more of a sustained comp and less than a burst comp, so you really do not want the enemy healing back up, which means we want to be having either red or a Morello. This is what your board is going to look like. As usual, level to 8s on either 4-1, 4-2 rolled on for this board. Nasus, Nico are rather flex units. Everything else is rather core. So that means the Rakan, Fiora, Gwen, Karma, Zilean, and Bard. These work together extremely well. Chrono with the Zilean and Karma. Bard giving Sugarcraft. Now that Gwen has been, her AI has been rechanged to more prioritize hitting as many units as possible rather than optimizing her own safety. The problem with optimizing her own safety is she would just dash away and hit 1 unit. Now she'll try to snip as many units as possible, which is definitely a lot better for her kit. Best in slot Karma is going to be 1 mana item plus 1 anti-heal item plus 1. So this is rather flexible. It could be either a Shojin or a blue buff. It can be either a red buff or a Morello. And then your plus 1 can be a Shiv, Archangel, Gunblade, Guardbreaker. Just any AP item is fine on Karma. Your best in slot is going to be Bloodthirster, Sterix plus 1. There's a common misconception that Titans is really good on her. However, the AP scaling from the Titans doesn't do anything for the Fiora, just a little bit more damage on her ability cast, but the AP scaling isn't great. So definitely look for an Edge of Knights or an Infinity Edge instead. Red best in slot is going to be a blue buff, some sort of healing, and then either AP or a Spark. Spark if you don't have a Shiv backline. So like Rabadon's, JG, these are all fine. Healing, BT, Gunblade, Hodge, these are all fine as well. Just depends on what you have for your items. One thing to note is because we are playing around so many 4-cost units, we will be wanting to play this composition if we have an item surplus. So either items from 2-1, so like Buried Treasures, or like, I don't know, Item Grab Bag, Over Encumbered, or 3-2 Big Grab Bag. So that way we are able to itemize these 4-cost carries when we hit them. Nico is mainly our flex slot here. Nasus is actually quite good because if we want to be eventually playing Briar, so then Briar at least has Shapeshifter with this. However, Nico can be dropped as soon as we hit a Briar, and also her Witchcraft traits can be replaced by playing Morgana instead as well. So once you hit some legendary units, Nico is out of here. This is what your final capped out board is going to look like. As I mentioned, playing around that Morgana, playing around that Briar, and then we also have Shapeshifter now that we kept the Nasus. Or Preserver is going to be keeping our board rather healthy and allowing our backline to cast quite frequently. Let's install augments to go along with this for Golem 1 and 2. Unleash the Beast. This way we are going to be having our Fiora rather beefed up with some Sterix, Giant and Mighty, Aggressive Preservation. Freaky Friday, 1 Infinity Force on the Fiora, and then one of the other ones can be flexed, either Gwen, Briar, Morgana, even Camille. Living Forge allows us, kind of helps us with that item surplus, and also a lot of these units can use a good amount of artifacts. So like Suspicious Trenchcoat on Fiora, Infinity Force, even like Mittens, Karma, Manazane, just off the top of my head, Blighted Jewel, all of these are fine. And then on the Gwen, even like a Wit's End or a Zanya's are also another mana scene. So artifacts are quite good. Teaming up, Immobile Object, Subscription Service, or any 2/1 econ to allow you to hit all of these 4 costs on level 8 are going to be ideal. So you can see here it is quite a good average if you are able to make it level 9, and this is without any chrono or any preserver spats. If you are able to hit this, then of course you play 6 chrono and your average goes even better. Or if you have a preserver, you can eventually play 5 preserver and your whole board will never die. And last but not least, a composition that has been around for a while but has recently come back due to some bug fixes and just some overall changes is the Jinx Wukong Hunter reroll. So this is going to be on level 7 and we're going to be rerolling our 3 costs here. This is going to be a physical damage stall comp, competitive comp, but essentially there's just comp twice. This means that the longer the fight goes, the stronger we will get because we are going to be building Rage Blades on the Jinx. And this is best if you have Hunting Frenzy, a Hunter +1 emblem, and especially the Spin to Win augment for the Wukong hero on 3/2. The reason why this composition is back is Spin to Win has been bug fixed. Previously, I think the shield from the Wukong was only lasting, I think, 0.3 seconds. So now that it has been changed back to its original amount, then Wukong is definitely back in the meta. Also, I believe he received a little bit of a buff going from 40 armor base or 40 armor magic MR base to 45. So that's not even bad. This is what your board is going to look like. Wukong solo front line. Without Spin to Win, the best on slot is going to be 2 Gargoyles plus a Warmox or Redemption. However, if you do have Spin to Win, it's going to be Bloodthirster, a Titans or a Sterix plus that Gargoyle, so more of a bruiser build rather than just pure tank because of the Spin to Win damage. You're going to be leveling to 5 either on stage 3/5 or either on 4/1 right after Wolves, and roll for 4 Hunter and at least Wukong 2, Jinx 2 so you can stabilize for stage 4. You definitely want to be prioritizing your Jinx items first, so her Biz is going to be Rageblade ×2 plus a Runons. If you have the category 5 augments, which really amps up your Runons Hurricane, in this case you will be building 2 Runons and 1 Rageblade. So keep this in mind just depending on what you have. If you have the category 5, 2 Runons, 1 Rageblade. If you do not, then 2 Rageblades, 1 Runons. You might be wondering, where is the Last Whisper? Last Whisper is fine on her as well. However, if you just put it on Kog'Maw, as long as they hit the same target, then Jinx will be hitting a Sundered effect target anyway, which is great. And also, giving her another pure damage item is better than just putting the Last Whisper on her. Olaf will receive any bonus AD like bruiser items like BT, Sterix, Eon, IE, Hodge. These are all fine on them. And Sunder and Heal will be going on that Kog'Maw and playing that Kog'Maw adjacent to your Jinx. This is how you're going to cap out your board by playing a Rakan and a Morgana to eventually hit 4 Preserver. This will really help out your Wukong stay alive and just allow your backline to stay healthy or just cast more often. Spin to Win is going to be definitely the best augment that you could take on 3/2 for this composition. This will really tailor your game into playing this 4 Hunter Wukong reroll composition. Hunting Frenzy, Category 5 are quite good as well, same with Heroic Grab Bag. Portal Forge, there are a good amount of artifacts that both Wukong and Jinx can use. If you're curious, you can just search them up, but some of the good ones, Collector on Jinx for sure, Gambler's Blade is fine on her, and then Wukong Unending Despair is quite good on him. Even I believe like Anima Visage or Innervating Locket. Hunter Crest plus Crown, in this case you're able to play 6 Hunter as well. You'll just have to play a Nomsy over one of the preservers, namely the Rakan. And then you have my bow just because we require so many bows in this composition, and then bonus starting attack speed will help our Rage Blade stack up faster. Here are the final, I guess, Explore stats. If you are able to hit Jinx 3/3 items, Wukong 3/3 items, and then level 9 fully capped out, you should be averaging around a 2, which is quite good, and you will be in a pretty good spot to gain some well-earned LP. So that's been everything for today. I will wrap up the 3 comps that we talked about and then head into Q&A for those who are watching this class live. So there are 3 essential comps that you really need to know this patch and recognize the angles you have for them. Arcana Varus, this is if you have like essentially an Infinity Edge opener, sword, or glove. And this way you're able to really play around this, especially if you hit Stand United. Karma Warrior is more flex, more of a default comp. You don't need any really starting item for this. Just make sure that you have 1 mana item for the Karma, 1 anti-heal for the Karma, then items for your Fiora and Gwen. And then last but not least, Jinx Wukong Hunters. You definitely need to start with a bow, and then some sort of augment to cater your game into this direction, either like Category 5 or a Spin to Win. Some of these would be great examples of really tailoring your game into playing this reroll line. That has been everything for today. Make sure you check out the pinned comment and the description to help me out if you want. I really appreciate it, and I will be going to Macau at the end of the year to compete at the Macau Open. That has been everything for today. Have a great night. I will see you all next week. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the section below. Good luck in your game.